Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday. Hope everybody's doing well. We're going to program some more Bevy today. I thought it might be neat to we put it in the to-dos for last time. I thought it might be neat to see if we can get some health bars on our player character, because it's really not obvious when you're close to death. If you run into too many enemies. Um, I think we can do some more refinement today on our. Last time we spent um, quite a bit of time generalizing our enemies and letting them be defined by the editor. So um, I think we can do some more with that. Clean some things up there. Maybe even something like, excuse me, define a constant, which is all of the enemy types, and it's just an array of strings. And then the only thing that we specifically did um, that was like special for each enemy type was uh, zero sized struct that was a component for that. And I don't. I was thinking back about it later. I don't really think that's necessary. I think what we can do is just define all the names of the enemies, and since their stats are defined in LDTK, we can probably just make one enemy bundle, and then for all the entities that are defined by the editor, all the named ones, just loop through them and register them, and then move on. So should be fine. Should be easy. Um, and then we can cut down on some of the boilerplate that we have in that module. But I really do want to get to UI things today. So let's get started. If you're just joining, say hi. I'd love to hear from you. All right. Okay, stream looking good. Um, so we'll do UI things. We might think about generalizing the weapons as well, because we'll probably eventually want to have a system where the player can collect experience, or collect items from the world, which give them weapons that they can use. And so we'll probably want to do something like, um, the dagger we have, it throws in four directions. Doesn't have to. We could have a spawn type, um, which is goes in the last direction the player moved, or it could be goes around in a circle, and we can make that really interesting from the perspective of the gameplay. So maybe we'll get to that. Maybe we won't. I guess it kind of depends on what we come up with. Okay, so let's look at, maybe we'll clean up first the enemy um, entity definitions, um, because those don't because we made them generic. We don't need those marker components on every single kind. Let's do that first, and we'll make a commit after that. Okay, so last time we said, we did more than just the ghost. For so long we've had just the ghost. It was manually spawned. We don't really need that. But then we define them in the LDTK editor, which I should get up here. And yeah, so we define spider, crab, ghost, bat, all as data, in the editor. What I would love to do is this. There's another limitation to this, which is these are going to spawn directly where they are. They're not like an archetype, and I would love to get to something where we can edit the level fields and say like, I want you to spawn this many ghosts and this many cyclops and so forth, um, and have that be like input to the spawn timer idea that we had before. Um, and then we could maybe even have UI displaying on the screen of like, this many enemies have spawned out of the total number of enemies that should be spawned. So, I don't know. Let me look real in here real quick. Can we do like an entity reference? Not really. I mean, we could do a string. That's interesting. Okay, an array. Okay, maybe we can think about that. There's probably something we can do in here. It's not going to be as strongly typed as typed. It's not going to be linked to the names of the enemies here. Um, so I think that we need to think about that. Um, this would be a case where we could potentially introduce some bugs if we mistype the name of an enemy. So, all right, let's go back to our code. So I think what I want to do here is um, we are going to, since we only have 5, it's not a huge burden. We'll just say that these are all enemy bundles. If I recall correctly, the name of the bundle doesn't have to be unique. It's just telling the LDTK plugin how to, when given this kind of entity, how, like, what sorts of components should be spawned for it. So I think we can just do this. Hello, Stephen T. Codes. Welcome to the chat. Nice to see you, Stephen. It's been a while. I don't know if you've ever joined my stream, but glad to see you. Okay, so now actually we have the enemy bundle defined. We can, and it's got this marker on it. We can just get rid of all these other things. They're not used anymore. Now we should check that we didn't accidentally use it. Yeah, this is just unused code. So let's run our game again real quick and see if that still works, if it doesn't blow up. Yeah, we got to rebuild. Okay, so it's fine. Our enemies are spawning. They're dying very quickly. Those daggers must be doing too much damage. But they're still spawning even though they're different kinds of enemies. So that's good. Okay. Hey, Chris. So I love deleting code. That felt really good. Now, what I was saying earlier is maybe we could do a const enemy entities, and this would be static stir tick static, please, stir 5, and we could just put them all in here. Cyclops. I don't know that this is strictly necessary. Spider. And then we could do something like let mute app. And then we'll do for enemy in enemy entities. I don't think I need a dot iter on that, do I? No. We'll just do app equals app dot register LDTK entity, and then we'll say enemy. And this is essentially the same thing as what we have. It's just not it's interesting. It's not like this expects to return the app. So maybe the method chaining is not necessary there. Let's see if we just do like that. I think it's just returning a mutable reference as a convenience so you can chain things together. Compiler still likes that. What's wrong here? Redundant static. Okay, fine. Compiler knows it's static. Thank you, Clippy. Yeah, so then if we go in our editor, add different enemy types, like maybe we add a wizard or something, um, we can uh, we can just add it to the list here, and we don't have to enumerate all of them. I don't know that that's better, but let's move this to the top of the file so it's easy to find. Okay. Yeah, so we're going to leave our spawn thing alone. I still want to leave that commented out. Um, and we will deal with that in the future. Okay, so let's just add that. And we're in session 14. And what did we do here? Okay, so we cleaned up the enemies plugin. Clean up enemies plugin. Don't need markers for all types, all enemy types. Cool. Easy enough. All right. So we've done that. Let's try to build some UI. I have not done this before, and I think the UI framework in Bevy, I was glancing at it earlier. Let's go to the top level. I think it's more for like building menus. And the reason I feel like that is there's a lot of things in here concerned with layout, and like a health bar. Brief answer for Steven. Is LDTK a third-party plugin, or did you write? So LDTK is a third-party level editor, and there's a library that I'm using called Bevy ECS LDTK that integrates with it. So if you missed my previous streams, that hopefully explains. Excuse me. Okay, so like this might be okay to use, the Bevy UI framework might be okay to use for our global UI. So like if we put some points on the edges of the screen, or like I mentioned earlier, if you missed it, we might put something like, well, we spawned this many of these, or of this many of the total number of enemies in this level. That's something that that Crafty Survivors does, so you know when the end of the level is. Interestingly, Vampire Survivors does not have that. It just has a fixed time limit, and the enemies just keep coming, and at some point the uber enemy comes in, and he's basically impossible to beat. Supposedly you can beat him, but it's really hard. I have never done it. So like there are different styles there, but anything that we might want to track, for example, if we have our character be able to level up and get stronger, so similar, both Crafty Survivors and Vampire Survivors do this, where when you level up, when you've gained enough experience by collecting drops from enemies, then you get to pick what your next evolution is, and it'll do things like give you a new weapon, like a second one, or a third one, or whatever. You can upgrade one of your existing weapons. You can get global types of power-ups like cooldown reduction or health, or yeah. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, supposedly impossible. Um, yeah, or you can get things like Crafty Survivors has one I love, which gives you, if you combine the attack speed, which basically is a cooldown on your primary weapon, and you get the crit chance power up, and then it unlocks. So there's like a tree of potential power ups that you can get. I think Vampire Survivors has something similar where, yeah, it does. So like you have to get a weapon plus a certain kind of support type of power up. And um, when you get to the top level of your weapon power up, then if you have the right support items, then you can upgrade it to like a much more powerful weapon. So there's all sorts of things that we can do in that space that will be really interesting. But for now, I'm getting kind of off track here. The thing that we would be working on is displaying what's your experience level, um, and and that might be just like a rectangle. So I'm thinking that if we're going to do something that's positioned world space and not screen space, we probably need to create an entity on a like as a child of the thing that is being tracked. So like if our player say has, I don't remember what we said here, but and I think the player, yeah, interestingly, we're not. Are we pulling that from the LDTK? I don't remember if we did that. Let's look at the. We don't have any things for the player here. We only have it for the enemies. So we're just doing a default there, and it's not deriving any of that from the LDTK data, which is something we probably could change. That might be good. But yeah, we're starting with 30 health. So I would love to display a rectangle above the player, which is like, um, full in a bright color when they are at full health. And then as it ticks down, we would show like a smaller rectangle or like two rectangles on top of each other in the same space. So maybe we can do that with some of the built-in geometry stuff rather than trying to do the UI for that. Yeah, so like their rectangle in here is not a quad that's drawn on the screen. That's like defining margins, paddings, and borders. Yeah. Um, yeah, this is really for. It looks like it's for menus. So menus and maybe global UI. Interestingly, I looked at the Bevy cheat book, which, thanks to Chris's weekly updates this week in Bevy, thank you, Chris. We like it got some updates, but there's almost nothing in there about the UI stuff. There's an empty page, so I should probably go look at some examples in the Bevy repo. Yeah, let's just go to the Bevy repo and see if we can get some examples there. Because if we can sort of understand what they're trying to do here, let's see. They got a lot of stuff on here. UI material? And I need to make sure I'm on Bevy 0.12.1, which is what I'm on. Okay. Okay, so UI material plugin. Okay, so there's custom UI materials. All right, so they're doing something where this is not that surprising. The hue of this color, the color for this material changes over time. Okay, not a big deal there. Yeah, okay, so UI material is basically material for UI elements, aka shaders. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so there's a node bundle, which I'm guessing is the UI component, and it has a style, and then they're using the default for the rest of it. Okay, so and then they're taking that node bundle and adding children to it. So this is nesting of their stuff. Hmm. I wonder if we could do something like use this material node bundle on a child of the player. Um, I don't know that it has a transform on it. Okay, so this is how you define it as bind group. Got it. Okay, and then they're doing a circle shader. So they've actually defined a shader. Where is that shader? Shader. Nope, that's shader examples. Shader, circle shader. I wonder if it's at the top level. Fun! Oh, assets? Okay, that makes sense. Thank you, Chris. Shaders, circle shader. Okay, so this is just taking a color and then it makes a fragment shader. And this is like an SDF type thing. Um, yeah, so yeah, that makes sense. This is like an SDF. What is that? Some density function? Anyway, so they're not defining it as a geometry. They're just saying when you draw this thing, here's how you draw it. Okay. Um, that's interesting. I want to kind of do it the dumb way first. I think we should probably do that and then worry about UI, the framework, and the ways that you um, might do this sort of thing later. Let's look at their text example real quick. Okay, so there's text update system, text color system. Okay, and then they have an FPS diagnostics on there. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so they spawn a text bundle, and then it's just you have to define a font. That's fine. We'll probably pick a open source free licensed font to dump in there. Like a pixely one would be good, right? And then defining the so this is a bundle that must come from the prelude. Okay. Text alignment center with style. Okay, and then there's so we can position it absolute on the screen. That's good. And they've got a marker component on this. Okay. And they spawn more text. Okay, so they're doing this is multiple sections. Right. Okay, and this I'm guessing is where they're going to fill in the the FPS count that's coming from that plugin, the value of it. Okay. Yeah, they've got that marker component on it. Okay. I don't know what these features are about, but I'm guessing if there's a default font, yeah. Okay. And then they're doing something similar here. They're redefining the color with RGBA, kind of rotating it around. And then okay, so here they're going uh, they're into this query if it has FPS text, which we saw up above. So it's this entity. They're going into the sections for that, um, and setting the value on there. Okay. So it used to be you just get empty output. Okay. Yeah. So I don't see any reason why we can't go dig for a font. I think maybe what we'll do first is we'll do a rectangle, like two quads potentially, or yeah. Let's think about that. Okay. So um, let's maybe over in here make a new let's make a new bundle, which is going to, okay, there's also the 2D text 2D example that isn't UI. Okay, cool. I'll go look that up later. Okay, so let's say we're gonna add a system as well. Oops. I want to make a update health bars. And we're going to need to think about how that's arranged. But for now, let's derive a component here. Debug default health bar, and what I want to do is just give it a single field width, which is a pixel width, and we'll define that. So what we want possibly is a bundle. What do you think about this? Yeah, maybe we don't care about that. Maybe just say this thing has a health bar on it. And then let's make a bundle, because what I want to do is this is a bundle default. We want to create a child entity of the thing that is going to have the health bar on it, which contains this bundle. Marker health bar. And then I want, we did this previously. Oh yeah, so we can just look it up. We had in our collision system, we had these gizmos, right? So we probably want a quad, right? In this case, we spawn 2 children. Maybe this is better to do. We're going to have an update health bars, but we also want to create the children for that. Maybe this is not right. Okay, for now, let's assume that this is on the player. And we're going to look at we're going to try to find child. I'm going to change this up. We're going to say this is there's present and missing. And it'll become clear why I'm doing that. And this should not have default on it. So we will use this to tag the entities that have So we kind of want a like two-piece health bar, right? We want part of it as bright color, it says how much health you have, and then this how much you're missing, right? And those could be two different rectangles, but we need to tag them. Maybe this is health bar part, and then we'll make that marker component for things that have health bars. Yeah, I like that better. Okay, and then let's real quickly before we do anything else, let's just give this health bar. So the player will have one. Okay, so what we want to do let's start to make this system. And let's do, we'll create them, and then those will be separate from updating them. So our queries can be disjoint here. I think that'll be good, because if we have, say, like we use the added type filter type on health bar, then we can go and add the add and position, more importantly, the parts of that health bar as things on the player. Okay, so let's do create health bars. That's probably going to be the easy one. Yeah, let's just go down here. Okay, so this is going to be commands. We need an entity commands. And then we're going to do our query is for we want to get things that have health we want added a health bar. And I think we want the entity, because we need to know what we're adding it to, what children to create. Okay, so so we're going to say for entity, and honestly we don't need this right now. We just need to add these. We might want to know, let's just do that. Okay, so we're going to say commands entity this, and here's where we're going to do, is it with children? Yeah. So here's where we're going to add the children things to this this entity that just had a health bar added to it. Okay. There's probably a better way to do this, but this should be fine for now. Okay, so we want to add two things. We want to add the current health rectangle, and we want to add the missing health. And it's interesting, we don't actually have that on the health component. We just have them out and cool down. So probably what we should do is put on here total as another field, and then we can go let's fill this in. And okay, so new amount, a total is amount. So assuming things start with full health. And then when we go and update these, we will adjust the width of them based on the amount of health that they have. So let's just say we're going to start with health bar part present, or maybe let's rename that to current. Yeah. Rename symbol to current. Okay. Okay, so this is the current health. Children dot spawn, and that's just again that's just a marker. And then we're going to do children dot spawn health bar part missing. Now there might be an argument to these having different, because this is the same type. When we get to updating, we may want to change that. Okay, but we can look at what we did here in collision, and we will. Okay, so we're gonna need these things in our system. So we're gonna need to add meshes for these guys. Yeah, I know. We'll get to that. Material 2D, material mesh 2D bundle. Okay. Here, let's split this to the right for now so I can see it. Okay, and I think we need to go down another text size. Hope that's still legible for everyone. Okay, so this needs a mesh. And we're going to need shape quad, new. And this is a vec2. So we want this, the current health, to start at, let's say it's we want it to be, let's make it 16 pixels wide and 3 pixels tall. And there's a lot of into here. into. Okay. And the material for this one, color material. Does this have any constants? No, it just takes a color, and we were doing, yeah, so let's say let healthy color, health color, color, I don't know. I'm cognizant of the fact that there are some people who are colorblind. I'm kind of loath to use red and green. That's classic. Maybe just use green. Let's use lime green, and which is what we did in the other one. So maybe that's not so good. Let's use yellow. And the missing color should be black, I think. That's high contrast. Black. And then this is also really easy to change here. Okay, so we'll do color material health color. And then the transform, this is where it gets interesting, I think. we this is going to be relative to the thing that has the health bar, right? So we need to put it above. If the the anchor on the transform is from the center, we need to go at least we need to go up at least 8 pixels. 8 pixels would put it centered on the top of the sprite. Maybe let's go, and it's 3 pixels tall. So doing another 1.5 pixels would put it above. But maybe we want to do 2. So let's do 10. Transform from translation. And we're going to want to put the Z pretty high. So we're not going to change the thing is we do know the center of it is at 0. This is what's going to be interesting, I think, about changing the width of this as we go. Luckily, the missing can just be behind the present health, right? The current health. So I wonder if that even needs to have the marker on it. We can just spawn that rectangle and forget about it because it's always going to be relative to the parent. Yeah, so let's call this health bar display, and I'm going to change it to a struct. Back to a marker struct, and that way we can, when we update it, we can just change the width of that. Okay, so we need to go, and this doesn't have any, it's just going to have a bundle, material mesh 2D bundle. These will start off with the same transform, except for one will be lower in the draw stack. So I kind of want to. It feels weird to do that twice. I wonder if I can reuse the mesh, but we're going to scale this one's width. So let's make it not be the same mesh. We might be able to do something like tweak the mesh itself. I'm not sure that that's safe, but we'll see. Missing color. And the transform, okay, so I'm getting all sorts of warnings here. Sorry for the mess. Okay, so we're going to go shift left and right, not at all. We're going to go up, I think we said 10 pixels. And then this is going to be like, let's say it's on top. Okay, I'm getting a lot of warnings there. We're going to say vec3 new. This is going to be also translated like so, but it's going to be 100. So it's not, it's below this one. All right, what's the warning about? Why is it? I think it's complaining about this system I haven't defined here. Yeah, so like it's like, I don't know what this function is, but here's the one that looks like it. It doesn't look like it at all. Okay, so we need a, let's just have an empty system here for now. And now it's not going to complain. Okay, so I need to make sure that I include the defaults here on both of these. All right. So before we go any farther and do this update, I want to see that this actually draws on the screen. So let's run it and make sure that we are. Could not compile. Okay. Missing health bar. Oh, it's in the default of player bundle. Easy enough. Okay. Because what I want to see is that it gets added to the screen and it displays. Yeah, so we've got a health bar. It looks positioned about right, although I might want to make it a little bit smaller because it does look like he's got a weird yellow hat on. Okay, so let's make it not as wide as the player. Okay, and I think we can remove that split because we're not doing it anymore. Okay, so let's make it like 12 pixels wide, and maybe 3 pixels is too big. And let's make it 2 pixels. And we can think about maybe there's a something visually we could add to it, so we could make a potential outline around it that might make it look better. But let's try that for now, and then we'll move forward and just not bother with. Yeah, it's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. Okay. All right, so now that we've got these, what we want to do is we want to get a query. So let's say the health bars is going to be a query over things that have health bar. And we just want the entity probably with health bar. And we're probably also going to want to have one that is current health, and what we'll do is we'll loop through these and go find me the child that has this parent and so forth, which I think we did in one of the other systems. We can say parent. The other possibility is that we go we want health. Actually, we don't care about the entity. And we'll go, this is the health bar display. We want, see, does the transform have scale? It does. There's a question about, do we transform the mesh? So it's a handle. Or do we just scale it? Let's start with transform and see what we get. Okay, so this is going to be with health bar display. One thing's, this is worth. Did I do something wrong there? Oh, I'm missing a bracket. One thing that I love about Bevy is like you can express the problem that you're trying to do, that you're trying to solve, with something that feels like a database query. At times it's like, oh, you have to bend your brain into thinking like that. You don't just have everything at hand and you can poke at it. You have to think about how to get to it. But on other times where it's like, it helps you frame the problem, I think. Okay, so we're going to say for health display, and this is going, let's just say this is going to be parent transform. This needs to be mute, and this needs to be mute, by the way. In current health, hit or mute. Okay, so we're going to loop over all of these that have health bar display on them. And then we're going to get the parent. So this, we should look at the docs for this because I've only done this once before. Parent is a component. Okay, so the parent gets you the entity ID of the parent. right? So what we want to do is let entity parent.get, and that does not, yeah, it does not fail ever. It's infallible, so that's good. Um, then we can go. We can look at the health, right? So we're going to get the health component from there. Let's say if let okay health is health bars dot get, yeah, get entity. I think we might want to do unwrap here, because if we put a health bar on something and it doesn't have a health component, we're screwed. But maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe we do this. Health bar display where there is no health component. And I can type, wow, okay. And then we continue. We just skip over it. Okay, and then we're going to get some percentage of the health. Yeah, so let's say percent is health dot amount as F32. And honestly, maybe we should consider converting the health content to floats rather than integers as F32. So there we get a percentage. And we can then we can set the scale. So by default it should be vec3 of 1 probably. And we want to shrink the x, or we set the x to percent. Why don't we just say so x equals percent. That should do it. Let's see what happens. Unfortunately, we're not spawning enemies right away, or we are, but they like die really quick. Okay, you can see it shrinking from the center. The problem is I would love it to shrink to the left rather than the center. Although that's pretty cool that we did that with very, very little code. So I think what we want to do as we scale it is we want to translate it also to the left. So that shouldn't be that bad to do. So we can say, we know that the width is 12. So we could say transform.translation. No. Translation dot x is 12 minus, no, not 12. So if it's full, we want it to be 0. We want 1 minus percent times 6. And these are magical numbers here. So, and actually it's going to be negative times negative 6. because we want to move. Sorry for bumping the mic. We want to move it to the left as we. Hi, Isaac. Nice to see you. We want to move it to the left as the percent health is going down. So real quick, let's add a bunch of enemies so we have more opportunities to. This is ridiculous, but here we are. So we have more opportunities to see the player's health go down. Let's add some bats for good measure. A couple more cyclops. I don't know, maybe our level could just be this. Forget the dynamic spawning. More crabs. We are a rust-based game. Gotta have crabs. Okay. Let's save that, and then now I think that this will be correct. I'm gonna put a little note in here. This is like shift the bar leftwards. Shift the bar center leftwards as it shrinks. So if it's 100%, you'll get 0 times 6, and it'll be in the center. And then as it gets as you get less and less health, it'll move over to the left as well as shrink the scale. The poor player. Today we were testing your health bar, little buddy. Yeah. Yes, I agree. The crab should have a random chance to stop and start raving for 5 seconds. So this is fun behavior that I get you guys on the stream for. This is why we have the stream. So we can, rather than just toiling away by myself, let's see if we can get him to run into, oh, crab, okay. So you can see it's moving down toward the left. Yep, okay. That is correct. That's pretty awesome. We got health bars with not too much code there. Okay, so let's make a new commit. Actually, I want to run it one more time because I think it actually looks better than I first thought it would. As long as it's shrinking to the left, it makes more sense. It's not too obtrusive. We could also potentially do it as something that is, global screen space. But having it right there next to your player, since if you're watching your player, like, oh gosh, I'm almost dead. Am I going to die by running into the ghost? Yes. Okay, cool. All right, and we're in session 14 still. So add health bars. That worked out pretty well. Yeah, good stuff. And the thing I like about this too is that we have this. We can probably clean this up a little bit. We might be able to say that there's like a health bar bundle with a default, and it has this stuff in it, and then we can tweak it by going down into it and so forth. But yeah, this is good. And then we also get that black background, so we're getting you can see how much of it is there as well, more than just having the current health displayed. Yeah, let's just leave that as it is. We might want to move these into constants. Yeah. So then we could just as quickly go and add health bars to the enemies. So maybe what we do there is we just, it derives default. So let's add health bar. And then we can see how much health they have. Now I think there's some problem in there. I think our dagger is too strong. It's killing them instantly. But at least we can prove that when these are added, they get health bars too. And they get displayed above the enemy. Yeah, so now it's way too many health bars. Come on now. Come on, son. And then they die way too easily. And some of it is probably that we are not. Notice the daggers keep going. I think. Oh, see, there was one that decreased just a little bit. I think if they pass through, yeah. What we need to do is actually have these daggers collide with the enemies. Oh, hey guys, you're just moving slow. We need to have them despawn. So they're not taking collision damage, but they should. Okay. That was nice to be able to turn that on. I don't think it's necessary. Let's just reset that. Okay. So we can push if we didn't already. Cool. So maybe let's look at fixing that. I think it's probably in here. So we send events, or maybe it's knockback collisions. No, we do apply knockback on the player still. Was it in health that we do collision damage? Yeah, take damage. Okay, so we might need a special case here. So we have enemies can take damage from daggers. Daggers don't take damage from enemies. Let's add that, and we should see the daggers disappear as they hit enemies. Oh, hey, generics. They're useful. Yep, see the daggers. Oh, now it's actually harder. Oh, there, I'm dead. so the daggers are not they're no longer repeatedly hitting the enemy as they pass through. They are hitting them only once and then despawning, which is the correct behavior. And I think that what we were doing before is the daggers keep going. They don't cause any knockback. They don't get knocked back themselves. They don't take any damage. But if we are making this be a bit more realistic, they don't just go flying forever. They're not the subtle knife or anything, or the time knife. Okay, so that's good. I would love to maybe tackle. Okay, so we did health bars. I wonder if we should this damage given taken. I wonder if we should like pop up a number, like a little tiny text thing that only lives for a short period, near the spot where they collided. So I think that was, yeah, we did take damage in here. Maybe we put that in the take damage system. So we have commands here. We can. Another thing that we could do potentially is make an event writer here, which is just says this thing took damage as an event. And we could say the amount, put the amount in it. Let's go to the collision event. Yeah, so we derive event and debug on that. And that might be interesting for other things, like we could have a total damage done to enemies counter. It opens up possibilities. The downside of events, of course, is it will delay for the when that event is consumed. It may be the next wrap, next time around. I guess that's fine. Let's make a damage events here. Event writer. and we'll make a damage event. And we're going to do, let's see, this is in the middle of my system, so I'd prefer not to do that. Yeah, okay, so we've got this. Let's do damage event as a thing. And then this is going to have, we have to derive, come on, Sean, debug and event. And then I want to do an amount again. And then we're going to do position, which is just a vec3. And we'll use that to put an entity in the world, which is just the text. Okay, let's see. The other thing we could do is put in here the receiver or the dealer. Let's just go ahead and put that, even if we don't need it. But we might be able to do something like, in our system, change the color of the text based on whether it was damage you dealt or damage you got dealt to you. Or we could say, don't display it for these kinds of entities, but display it for these other kinds. That's a possibility. Okay, but like making this event driven is probably better, because then we can make those decisions separately. We can just emit these events, and then whatever wants to consume them consumes them. And this needs to be no, it's just complaining about not being used. Okay, so let's say the thing here is we're going to need the receiver. We're going to need the position of the receiver. So we're going to need its transform. Okay, and then we're going to say damage events. We need send. So we need to make an event here. Damage event. And we have the amount is going to be damage.amount. We have the position is going to be receiver. And here we need to do this. Transform. It's going to be transform dot translation. And it's good to know, in case you didn't know, vec3s that are basically glam is the library that comes from. I don't know if Bevy copied and modified it, but it's basically glam. They're all copy. They have the copy trait, so there's no reason to not. And what was the other field we had on here? Receiver is going to be collision.entity. Or no, damage or yeah, collision.entity. Okay, so now we're sending damage events. So what we could do is let's look at our plugin up here. So we're processing that in combat. We just added these create health bars and update health bars. Let's do display damage, which will consume those events and add. And then we're going to timeout damage display, which is like not the best name. Basically, what we want to do is have a timer on this this entity we're spawning that has the damage displayed, and over a very short period, maybe fade it out and then remove it. Let's see. Let's just go, let's say tick damage display. Okay, let's make these systems, and they'll do nothing for now, and then we'll tick damage display, I think is what it was called. Oh, I need to get better about jumping around. Yeah, tick damage display and display damage. Okay, so now those are, they don't do anything yet, but we'll put some stuff in though. Okay, so this is going to need a commands object again. And what we're going to want to do is get events. And I think it has to be mute because you're consuming them. Event reader, damage event. Okay. We might want to make a damage display bundle, but we could probably start with just a tuple of components. We will probably want at least a marker component for this thing. So let's go ahead and make a bundle. I think I've just convinced myself. Yeah, so let's make, we need a component first. Bug default, damage display. Just as a marker. And that will help us find the components that need updating on each time around. Let's make a bundle for that. Debug. I guess we can do default. Display bundle. Okay, so this is going to have marker on it. Damage display. It's going to have, and thank you, Chris, for pointing out the text 2D bundle. We will look at that. Text 2D bundle. Okay, so anchor, okay, that's, I get it. Bounds. What's the default on this? Oh, of course. I wish they didn't turn off source links on their docs. But we could use unbounded. I wonder if that's the default. I'm betting it is, actually. Okay. Well, if we need to. So the main thing here is text. And it has these text sections, right? We saw this on that example we looked at earlier. Okay, so let's put a text as a text 2D bundle, right? And then the other thing we need is a timer. Now timer doesn't derive default, so we need to remove that potentially. Do we need to wrap that? It's not a component. What did we do on the other ones? So like we had the damage cooldown. Oh, so that's a component. So it can be part of a component. But it can't be. It can't be just a component itself. Yeah, I think you're right, Stephen. I need a damage display timer component. Okay, let's just do that. Now, the other thing that we could do potentially is just put it in here. Let's do that. Now, I don't, yeah, that simplifies it. Then we don't need another component on there. That's not really that useful. Okay, so that's what we'll start with. So we've got this event reader. Read. And we're going to say, we might want to destructure this. Let's see if there's a code action for that. Destructure, yeah. So we're going to I think we'll just use this for now. We might not want to display it over the direct center of the thing receiving. And I think that we'll ignore the receiver for now, because we'll just display all of it, and then we'll get on with maybe filtering those out. So that's the transform we need. And let's make a damage display. Timer from seconds, and we'll just say it like lasts for 1/4 of a second for now. Timer mode once. And now we can do our spawn, and we'll fill in some stuff in there. Damage display bundle. Fill those struct fields for me. Okay, so the marker is display. It's not really a marker anymore, is it? Rename that to timer. Okay. And let's rename that to timer. Okay, so this is going to be, the text is going to be a text2D bundle. And we're not going to need everything there. We've got the transform, so we can get rid of that. The other thing is that we're going to need to bump this up, and maybe what we do, actually let's not do it like that. I'm going to add a constant vec3 to it. So we want to bump up we kind of want to offset the damage so it's not over the center of the thing. Maybe we go off to the upper right or the upper left or something. If we had collected like the direction there in the where we're emitting these damage events, we might be able to do something that's a bit more contextual. So like, was it hit from the bottom, then display the damage toward the bottom? But I don't know. Let's just do a fixed amount. So up and to the right, let's just do 8, 8, and then we want it on top, so we'll just pick 102 arbitrarily. So then that's the center position of the thing that was hit, and then it'll go to the upper right of it. Not the most precise thing, but okay, so we got the transform there. Position, oh, well, star position. There we go, deref. Okay. Expected, oh, I need to do that. Okay, so we need to fill out the text2D bundle. And there's, I wonder if there, we need to fill out this text thing, obviously. Text. So we need, let's just not care about the line break behavior or the alignment. We just need to adjust the sections. And we'll just do the vec macro here. We need a text section. Fill in those. So what's his value? Value is a string. Okay, so we're going to format. Amount. And the style is one of those text style things. So we saw earlier. And here's where we may need a font. Color is a color. So let's pick. I'll pick orange red. That's good. The font size, we need to make it pretty small. What does this field need to be? Tell me. F32 in pixels. So we want this pretty small. Let's make it 5 pixels tall. I don't know if we need the font. Maybe we can do default. Okay, I don't know if this is going to work. Let's see what's broken here. Oh, we need default on the end of this. This is just going to use the whatever the default font is in there, I think. We might want to put, like we said, we might want to put a font in our assets, but at first maybe we want to see if this works. The problem is it's going to stay forever until we implement this other system. But let's run that and see if we can show damage being displayed. Okay, I have a problem here. Did I have to initialize that? Add event. Yeah, so I need to add event on the plugin. That was my problem. Here it is. Add event. Damage event. Okay. Fine. Whatever, editor. Okay, so now it's registered. It should not panic there. Okay. Now, I'm not getting those displayed. Or they were... Let's just arbitrarily put this here. Let's make it super big. It's going to be a mess, but let's make it super big. Okay, we're not getting the text displayed. Let's put a little info in here. Damage done. I'll say adding damage display. Amount. Position. And that way we can see if this system is even running correctly. Because if it's not getting triggered, then we have a different problem. Okay, it's getting triggered. Wow, those crabs are tough. Look at that armor. Ugh. Okay. So it's doing 5 damage, and there's some like collision damage, right? um, the Y values on there are really interesting. Let's say this. And let's set the Y value. Just so we're not getting some weirdness there. Okay, so it is triggering. There's a question in my mind about, is this even, is there something wrong here that this isn't even visible because it's not loading a font? Yeah, font. If this is not specified, then if default font feature is enabled, I probably have that off. Okay, otherwise no text will be rendered. This is probably the problem. So let's look at their font thing. And I think I had the examples open. Let's look at what they do in here. Right, so there's a asset server load. So let's go get a open source font or free fonts. Yeah, I've been here before. Okay. Let's say bitmap pixel looks. Well, those are fun. 8-bit operator. That looks sort of like what we want. Yeah, okay. It's probably, Chris, that like early on I turned off a bunch of features. I'm not sure if. Yeah, see, I have it turned off. Let's turn it on and then run it again, and it probably will display. But we should get a cool looking font. That would be fun. Do maybe like this one or another one of these. Like, yeah, like arcade classic. That looks good. So now that I have default font turned on, it should probably display with no changes. Yep, commented right there. I recall pulling in all the default features and then commenting out the things that I thought we didn't need. But now that we're trying to display text, we need it. Okay, it's still not displaying, and I'm about to die. Man, those crabs are tough. Okay, something else is wrong here. Let's see if there's any. No, there's no printout. Cool fonts are cool. I think we should just do that. Let's get this one. And we'll go there. Okay, so we've got this. Let's just do it over in here. The arcade classic. Oh, I have two of them. I must have downloaded this font already before. Assets. Let's make dir assets fonts. Okay, make sure we got it in there. Okay, so we got a font. So there's a question in my mind about whether we should load it in here. Yeah, let's just do, let's call it Pub Arcade. And I'm sure this is where Chris is going to tell me you should use Bevy Asset Loader. Yes, yes, I should. Okay, and then we'll do unmute font assets. And then we will init resource fonts. And then we can do down here fonts is fonts plural. Asset server dot load fonts arcade classic. I yeah. Yes, I aspire to be the little voice in people's heads. Arcade classic. .ttf. Okay, so font assets. Okay, so if we load this in our loading system, then when we're over here in trying to display the damage, what we can do is get fonts, right? And then we can put in here is in the text style font is going to be fonts.arcade.clone. So we're not like we're triggering the asset server to start to load that font early before we even display any damage, and then we don't need that. Okay, I still don't know if this is going to work. We're going to find out, and then maybe we can try to debug some stuff, but yeah, I'm still not seeing the text. Oh, look at that. Okay, so there's a problem here. Maybe it was displaying all along. Okay. First of all, our font size is way too big. And it's likely that it's this transform thing that's not correct. So let's make it like 6 pixels again. That was interesting. So if we still don't see it, let's go up, and it's probably up here. Yeah, so see, it's smaller now. I wonder if the text, interesting that it's like displaying all in a row on the same. Did we do something wrong in our other system, I wonder? Or is it just the addition of these vectors? Let's maybe do this manually. I hard-coded the Y. Oh, I meant to hard-code the Z. Fun. Thank you, Chris. That was, yeah, that would have taken a long time to debug if I didn't have you all. Okay, so now it's displaying there. That's a lot of text. So I think let's make the text size a little bit bigger. And then now let's tick the damage display down because it should disappear. The other thing that we could do is potentially make it a child of the receiver, which might be better. I don't know. For now, let's go with ticking it down. So we need to do another one of our timer thingies. Okay, so our query is going to be um, over, I think it needs to be mute. Damage display. And then we need time, res time. And then we're going to do two things here. We're going to say for we need to do display.0 tick, and this is going to be time.delta. So this is pretty typical. This needs to be mute. And then we'll do two things. We want to do, honestly, I want to destructure this. Can we destructure this? No. We can do it here. Display. And then we'll just do timer.tick. If timer just finished. So we also need here the entity, because we want to delete this. We want to despawn this if it just finished. We want to do, so we're going to need commands as well. And this will be a good place to stop the stream if we get this working. Okay. So the other thing that we probably want here is we want that text, because we want to be able to change that text style. Mostly to change the alpha on the color, because what I want this to do is as the where'd it go? As the timer ticks down, I want to change this color, adjust its alpha, right? So let's go look at the timer again, and it should have a method on it that tells us how much is left. Percent from 0 to 100 to 0 to 1. Okay, so we can take advantage of that. Yep. Okay, if it just finished, then we want to do commands entity, and we need to. This is going to be a lot here. We're going to get entity, display, text. Okay. Despawn recursive. Okay. Otherwise, if it did not just finish, if it's still going, then we want to set the alpha on that text style. So we have text. and that's going to have sections. And we know there's only one. And we want to change the style, color, set alpha, and we're going to do 1 minus timer.percent. Now if I were being that's not right. Let's just do I don't like that, but it's fine. We could implement deref and deref mute for display for that component, but it's just not that important. What I was about to say is, like, this would ideally have an easing on it, so it doesn't just, like, because alpha is, the perception of it is not linear. So we would probably see some things where it quickly goes to fade out too fast, and we would want to have an easing that starts slow and then accelerates toward the end. But I'm not gonna bother with that. I don't know if there's any easing built. Maybe it's in the Bevy animation crate. Easing. Let's see if there's anything in here. No. Animation. That's a different kind of animation. That's all right. Let's just see how this works. Okay, so previously, we had the damage text just stays there. Let's see what happens now as that timer ticks. That's pretty good. Not too bad. Oh my goodness. Bevy tween, there might be something called that. It's not in the standard crate though. It might be an add-on. Bevy tween. Let's see. Okay, tweening. Animate any field of a component or asset. That's interesting. Built-in lenses. These people drink the functional Kool-Aid. Let's have a look at this. This is interesting. Okay, so there's easing functions. Yep. Oh, okay. So this is probably setting up default systems that if you add a tween to something. Okay, so it adds an animator, and then that will look at other spots of your entity and tweak them. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm not surprised, Chris. There's a few third-party tween easing crates. It's honestly something that's very useful and pretty damn easy to write. I've written some tweening. Okay, maybe for a future time. The other thing that we could do here is we could start it at the position. We could use the amount that was ticked to kind of sort of like we did with knockback, to have the damage indicator like start at a specific spot and then move, sort of like it's as it's fading out. But maybe what we could do here is these are going to be, let's just make a quick exponential. That should make it accelerate toward the end. So it's going to, when it's smaller, it's going to start there, and then it's going to, yes, remembers action scripts tweening libraries. Do you also remember my easings on Fable? Yeah. What's going on, kids? Are we compiling? Cargo build, please. Okay. Yeah, that exponential might be too aggressive, but that is interesting. Um, let's make, rather than 1.5, I don't know if that's going to go crazy or not. It's pretty cool though that we got all that done in such a short order. Um, yeah, there's lots of tuning that could be done on that. Note how let's remove that offset. I want to see if it looks better happening right above. I gotta escape so I can see more damage indicators. Yeah, it's not too bad. Let's see. The user takes some damage. The player takes some damage. The problem is with the knockback. It might actually be useful to have um, this be a child of the thing that was damaged, because then all the positioning is relative, the transform, um, and we can we can tell directly what was hit. Now it is, in some ways it's nice that it happens right on top of the place uh, where the damage happened, but with the how quickly the units are moving, um, so it's interesting that it's happening on what looks like on the weapon and not on the thing that was being damaged. So maybe there's a problem there. Okay. Um, yeah, let's change this to be a child. So we'll use the receiver. Let's do commands.entity receiver, spawn, add child, spawn. That's entity. I want like something like with children, but I don't want to do the closure. Is it children? Yeah, let's look at the entity commands. Okay, so insert would add components to the entity. We don't want to do that. We want to do this is kind of maybe this is just what we have to do. I would hope that there's like an easier one where you can just say here's a thing. I guess we could use the regular commands to add or to spawn it and then add it as a child. That just feels like a mess. All right, well, we'll do it with the closure. Okay, with children. Okay. And then we will pull this out here. Can you all hear my cat snoring? Children.spawn. Yeah. And then I need to put the bundle back in here. Damage display bundle. Okay, and now we can maybe even ignore this position. We can remove that from the event. So let's, because we just place it on the receiver. So we don't need that. And we can remove that from the query as well, because we're not using it. And down here, yep. Okay, so what we can do then instead of this is just set a static translation on this transform. And we can do like, I don't know. I was doing more, but I think that it was being displaced too much. And we need to correct some things here. Okay, just deref that. Yeah, she's actually fairly quiet, and this this microphone has a cardioid shape to its reception area, so she's off here to my left. But I just thought I can hear her snoring. I thought it might have shown up on the stream. Okay, so this will be hopefully a little bit better on the positioning for that damage display. Oh, and I crashed. What happened? Entity does not exist. Ooh, that's interesting. So I wonder if we have a systems ordering thing here. The thing is, this does not. Okay, so it panics if it doesn't exist. Okay, so we need get entity for the fallible version. So I think what was happening there is we tried to create a child entity for this, and in the same, yeah, they're dying before the damage is showing up. Yeah. So this is interesting because we're applying the damage in the system where we're emitting the event. So maybe what we need to do is rather than doing this here, we just translate collision events in this system, and then and its only job is to emit damage events. And then in another system, we apply the damage. Still, the event, it did carry the position. The problem was it was wrong. All right, let's back this out. Give me a lot of Control Z here. Command Z. And put this back. Wow, I did a lot of mistakes there. Okay. And we'll ignore the receiver for now again. As long as this still works, we're probably okay, and we can stop there. Yeah, the problem with making it a child of that other entity is its lifetime is bound to that entity living, and it uses despawn recursive when something takes so much damage that it is removed from the world. Um, so there's a sense that we have potentially some scheduling problems that might come up with this. Um, yep. All right. I think with this, what I want to do is let's clean this up a little bit, because what the only things that we really care about in this um, sorry, the only thing that we care about in this particular thing is the font, the amount, and the position. So I would like to make a constructor for this bundle that does that. Impl. And then we'll wrap up the stream for today. And we need it to return self. And we'll just copy paste this for now, and then we'll figure it out. Okay, so let's say new. We want it to take we want it to take the position. We want it to take the amount, and we want it to take reference to fonts. And then we can pull all of this out. And we will get rid of those in a minute. Okay, self. And what we want to take here again is position is a vec3, amount is a u32, and then the fonts is a reference to your font resource. And we will pull out the timer here. Yeah, let's just pull all this up there. That'll be a lot cleaner. And then it's in one place where we're creating that bundle. Okay, and we don't need to deref that anymore. And what's wrong? Oh. Yep, reference to U32. Okay, so now that's actually a really simple one, and it's only concerned with calling this new. And then if we wanted to change any of this stuff, it's all in one place. Okay. The default font thing did not work, so I think I'm going to turn it back off, and we'll just use our cool font anyway. Let's make sure we didn't break anything. Did make that really hard on myself, didn't I? Okay, looking pretty good. Again, when the player takes damage, it's not really visible because he get pushed away. But I think that's okay. We can refine that more later. pretty good. So let's look at the diff. So we're loading a font, and then we are making sure that the enemies and the daggers take damage. Yep. Okay. And maybe next time what we'll do, let's write this down real quick. Okay, so we added these. Maybe what we do will be, and it just slipped my mind. I was looking at it. Oh yeah, we'll split up damage event emission from processing, similar to what we did with collisions. Do the daggers despawn when they hit the wall? No, but the walls do no collision damage, um, which is on purpose. That would be pretty bad. But yeah. Okay. And then we can look at generalizing the weapons. So. Yep. Okay. And assets. We need to add that too. All right. So this is session 14 still, and we added a damage display on collisions, and emitted damage events. And let's say emit damage events on collisions. Collisions, and add damage display over the location, over the receiver. Okay, I think that's a good place to stop. Thanks for sticking with us. One of the things has been really rewarding for me over this stream has been, learning a lot about Bevy, but I think in the last few streams, we've really leveled up what we can do. Some of that was unlocking features of the editor, the LGTK editor, and some of it was just like, hey, I know what to look for in Bevy now. So thanks for sticking with me and participating in the chat, and we will see you all next time. Next time is March 31st. The next day is April Fool's Day. Should we do something different? Maybe. Let's think about it. I'll let you know. Take care, folks. See you next time.